There's a war raging in the shadows, and we are the soldiers no one sees. Not the battles fought on ancient fields or in boardrooms that make headlines. This is our war, the war of a woman standing alone, armor forged from necessity, sword sharpened by survival. No cheering crowd when we ride at dawn. No backup plan when everything crumbles. No one to call when the world falls apart. We wake up every morning, not because we're rested, but because surrender isn't an option. And that, sisters, is sacred strength. This is discipline forged in fire. This is the kind of warrior spirit that can't be taught in seminars or downloaded from the internet. It's earned through raw experience, through the brutal art of survival, while maintaining our souls. People don't understand the weight of our silence, the kind of silence that echoes when we're screaming inside, but still show up, still fight, still give, still stand. And when no one comes to save us, we learn to become the hero in our own story. This isn't some fairy tale of empowerment. This is brutal. This is raw. This is the transformation of pain into power, of fear into fierce clarity, of chaos into the order we create with our own bloodied hand. Because the truth is, support is a luxury we've learned to live without. But responsibility, that's become our sacred calling. And responsibility, when embraced with both hands and a warrior's heart, becomes the path to unshakable meaning. When a woman has no support, she has two choices: collapse or construct herself from the ground up, brick by brick, prayer by prayer, battle by battle. And we who rise in silence, we are the most dangerous force mediocrity had ever faced. We don't complain. We don't beg for validation. We build ourselves quietly, fiercely, until we are too powerful to ignore. Most people think strength is loud, but we know better. Strength isn't noise, it's restraint. It's staying composed when every fiber of our being wants to give up. It's whispering to ourselves, I will try again tomorrow, even when today was unbearable. A woman who has faced abandonment, betrayal, poverty, and loneliness, and still chose to keep her integrity intact, she is a pillar of civilization. She's not waiting for permission. She's not blaming anyone. She looks truth in the eye and declares, I will not be broken, because it's easy, but because becoming bitter is a death I refuse to die. What you don't see behind our quiet strength is a lifetime of self-discipline, of doing what's necessary when no one is watching, of choosing responsibility over escape, of showing up even when our bodies are tired and our hearts are shattered. And here's our real power. It's not just about surviving. It's about becoming someone so internally fortified, so grounded in our sacred purpose, that no external storm can destroy the foundation we built with our own hand. That is our silent victory. That is our transformation. And if you're listening to this right now, walking alone, carrying burdens no one sees, let this be your battle cry. You are not invisible. You are not weak for feeling broken, but you are extraordinary for refusing to let that brokenness define you. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more women like us. Women who face our dragons not to slay them once and for all, but to become stronger with every battle fought. Stand up straight, shoulders back, sword drawn. We weren't meant to stay small. We were meant to rise. We were meant to be sacred sword sisters. There is something uniquely tragic and yet astonishingly heroic about a woman who walks through this battlefield without a safety net beneath her, no father to protect, no system to catch her when she falls. She moves through the world with quiet urgency, and nobody really sees it. But that's the point. That's the sacred part of our battle. When there's no one to witness our suffering, it either crushes us or forces us to become unbreakable. And we have chosen to be unbreakable. Imagine waking up every day knowing no one tells you that what you're doing matters. No applause, no recognition, just expectation. The world looks at us and assumes we'll hold it all together. When we do, they say nothing. When we slip just once, they call us unstable. This is the madness of being unsupported, yet responsible. We don't get the privilege of weakness. We have to be reliable, even when we're unraveling. You might ask, how do we endure this? How does a woman keep going when no one's clapping, when no one's checking in, when no one's even watching? The answer is both brutal and beautiful. We keep going because the alternative is worse. We understand at a primal level that giving up doesn't mean rest. It means death. Not literal death, but the death of self-respect. For women like us, our dignity is everything. So we carry it like armor, even when it's heavy, even when it chafes against our womb. There is ancient mythological strength in a woman who stands up when everything inside her says, lie down. Think about that. Think about what it takes to walk into work, to smile, to raise children, to pay bills, to do it all knowing there is no backup, no escape plan, no one coming to rescue us if we break. We're walking on a tightrope with no net below. The sheer mental weight of that is incomprehensible, unless you've lived it. And society does this cruel thing. It praises independence in women until that independence becomes inconvenient, until it makes people uncomfortable, until it reminds them they've been absent. Then suddenly, our strength is called coldness. Our determination is labeled bitterness. We're told we're too intense, too serious, too much. But what's the alternative? Would you rather we fall apart so you can feel comfortable? Here's the deeper, more painful truth. Many of us don't even know how extraordinary we are because no one tells us. No one points at us and says, what you're doing is heroic. Because heroism, in our case, doesn't look like action movies or Nobel Prizes. It looks like showing up on Monday morning after a weekend of silent crying. It looks like paying rent with the last $20 and still giving the best part of our sandwich to our child. It looked like swallowing anxiety and pretending to be okay so no one else gets worried. None of that gets medal. None of that gets recognition. But it should. We live in a time obsessed with the performance of strength, but indifferent to the reality of it. Real strength doesn't post about itself. It doesn't market itself. Real strength is us, sitting alone in our cars before our shift, taking deep breaths, preparing to give the world our best, even when we have nothing left. That's strength. That sacred sword sister strength. It's not glamorous and it's not loud, but it is the bedrock of civilization. When we build ourselves without help, we don't just build a life, we build a philosophy. We understand responsibility. We understand delayed gratification. We understand the value of character because that's all we had to rely on. And that makes us dangerous, not in a harmful way, but in a way that makes mediocrity tremble. You can't manipulate us easily. You can't guilt us into silence because we have faced worse than disapproval. We have faced ourselves and survived. What does it do to a woman when she's forced to become both protector and protected, both nurturer and disciplinarian? It creates a psychological wholeness most people never reach because they're never pushed that far. Pain, real pain, when faced honestly, refines the soul. It strips away illusion. It eliminates entitlement. It forces you to become precise with your time, boundaries, and energy. And that precision, that self-awareness, it makes us terrifyingly competent. But competence is lonely. There's a sorrow that comes with being the strong one because everyone leans on you, but you're trained never to lean back. We could be surrounded by people and still feel like we're holding up the room by ourselves because we are. We become so reliable that others stop checking in. That's the tragic cost of strength. Invisibility. People only see the mess. They don't see the maintenance. They don't see the battles we fought before anyone noticed. We absorb chaos. That's our role. That's our sacred burden. In those rare quiet moments, when we're finally alone with our thoughts, it hits us. No one really knows how hard it's been. And maybe no one ever will. But that doesn't stop us. We're not doing this for prey. We're doing this because we refuse to abandon ourselves. We refuse to let circumstances dictate our character. We refuse to let the absence of support justify the presence of self-destruction. That's integrity. And integrity is grace under pressure. So the next time you see a woman who looks like she has it all together, look again. Look deeper. Because she might be in the middle of a war no one can see. A war she fights every single day without backup, without sympathy, without rest. And she's still standing, still giving, still showing up. That is not just resilience. That is transcendence. That is the sacred battle of a sacred sword sister. And it may very well be the most powerful force you'll ever encounter. Sister, if this is your story, if you recognize yourself in these words, know this. You are not alone. You are part of an ancient sisterhood of warriors who have chosen strength over surrender, meaning over comfort, transformation over victimhood. We are the sacred sword sisters. We ride not because it's easy, but because it's who we are. Our swords are drawn. Our armor is tested. Our purpose is sacred. And together, we are unstoppable.